Hi everyone, you know me as a highly successful swing trader, and I have been swing trading for over 13 years. Early in my trading, I did spend some time day trading. I looked across multiple strategies, I looked at ways in which I could identify an edge in day trading, and I just found that day trading wasn't going to work for me, and I pivoted and focused very heavily on swing trading. And that has led me to enjoy the success that I have today. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is I found myself in a very unique position very recently. I came across a service called BigShort. And what caught my attention and actually had me looking deeper into the product was the fact that the founder, Tay, posted all of his tax returns and trading results from the technology that is available in the tool today. What I found even more interesting is that that was north of $10 million. Day trading. And I realized very quickly that this might require me at least putting in some effort to see if there's an edge with the tool. Tay enjoyed the edge, obviously, and I wanted to see if I could identify some very specific strategies that I could take advantage of within the tool. Within a very short amount of time, I had identified 3 very powerful strategies. One of them I actually shared with the private community, the BigShort community on Discord, and very quickly multiple individuals began to understand it, and then they started trading it. And they have been posting their profit in the community, available for everyone to see, and the success has actually been astounding. What I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to walk you through the strategy so that you understand it, you can see the significant value in it, and then you can understand what the rules are to actually trade it, okay? So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to show you, and if you look at my chart, I am going to show you 5 different trades. 4 of them are what I call the A+ setup. There are multiple iterations of this strategy. A+ is the best one. This is the one where if you have multiple opportunities, you want to focus on the A+ setup. That's what we're going to talk about today. Maybe in future videos we talk about some of the other strategies, but today we'll just focus on this. And so let me show you a couple of things on the chart, and we'll kind of walk through it. Up here is where we would put in the symbol, and we're going to obviously start with Apple, symbol AAPL, and we're looking on June 18th, 2024. I'm on a 5-minute chart. The vertical line here, anything to the left of this is the pre-market price action. Anything to the right in this box is the regular session. And then this vertical candle here, anything to the right of that is actually the post-market. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this a little bit over so we hide some of the post-market because we don't really need that. We're not trading the post-market. This is a strategy where we are looking at the pre-market for the signal, and then at the market open, we're waiting on confirmation. So we've got the signal pre-market, and then at the open, we're waiting for confirmation to enter. This strategy actually requires you to be very well prepared at the open. The last thing you want to do is start looking for names, and then in addition to that, rushing to see if it's meeting the criteria for an entry. And then if you're trading options, actually walking the option chain to find the right option that is going to give you the largest profit with the least amount of risk. It is just too much to handle once the market is open. So you need to prepare for the strategy in advance. And if you prepare properly, you really get to enjoy the success, okay? This is very important. I'm usually preparing 30 minutes before the open, and then I'm watching select names right up until about 15 minutes before the open, okay? So we're looking at Apple, and a couple of things really stand out on this chart that I want to draw your attention to. Number one, Apple is in a very tight range pre-market. And there are specific times where Apple actually trades very, very wide. So if you just use your eyes or your imagination a little bit, you can think about drawing a rectangle across this price action. And we're very, very tight in this price action. So that's one. Number two, I noticed this manipulation candle, this yellow candle here, okay? And it's pointing down. This is a market maker manipulation candle, if you will. What is really interesting about this candle is that it is visually significant. And what I mean by that is if you look at all the previous candles, we don't have candles pointing up or anything else in the pre-market, and this is very large in relation to any of the other candles in the pre-market, it is visually significant, okay? So that's number two. We have tight price action, and then we have a visually significant candle pointing down. Now, the way we interpret this candle in the pre-market is different than in the market open, okay? So just be aware of that. This pointing down immediately tells me that I have a bearish bias for Apple going into the market open, okay? So down, bearish. I look across the top of the pre-market high, and if I just hover over this candle right here, you can see that that's the pre-market high. Right at the market open, so remember this vertical candle right here is signifying the market open, and every candle is a 5-minute candle. This right here is the top of a Bollinger Band. This right here is the bottom of the Bollinger Band, and the midline is the Bollinger Band moving average on a 5-minute chart, okay? So we're taking out the top of the pre-market high. Why is that significant? Very often, traders will actually put market open orders or set triggers to buy on a break above a given level, okay? If you are a market maker, your job is to provide liquidity into the market and identify where the levels of liquidity actually are. Where are the buyers and where are the sellers? The market's an auction. Buyers or sellers can be willing or unwilling buyers and sellers. What does unwilling mean? In the form of a stop actually being triggered. That is an unwilling buyer or an unwilling seller. And this is the makeup of a trap, okay? And in this case, this would be a bull trap. We think it's going to go high, we trigger the high of the pre-market, and then all of a sudden there's a violent reversal in the other direction. Now, what am I looking for confirmation before entering? This candle was very large, so there was a lot of money just in this candle, but what we have to do is we have to wait for confirmation. I always wait for the candle to close for confirmation. This specific instance, it was a large engulfing bearish candle. There was bearish net option flow. So you can see here this blue candle, if you will, down here pointing down means that calls are being sold, okay? We know when calls are being bought, the move should be to the upside. We've got people buying calls. But when calls are being sold, that's very bullish, and puts are being bought. That's also, bearish. Puts being bought, bearish. Calls being sold, bearish, okay? And in this case, we can see the blue candle here, the blue NOF candle pointing down, that is bearish. And what happens next is Apple continues to sell off basically through the rest of the day. And you actually have multiple additional opportunities on this trade. I would have entered here, and I would have taken it down. I probably would have gotten out right here, so I would have grabbed whatever profit was available here. This was a large candle, so you're losing a bit of it, but remember, we want to be consistent. We want to preserve our profit, and we want to make sure that we're paying ourselves across the move. And a lot of the times, you're going to get 3 waves in a move. The market typically moves in 3 waves, and time is fractal. So across different time frames, you're going to see this. And in this case, price moved down. It retraced back to the middle of the Bollinger Band line. You can also see that right at the bottom of this candle here, there is a dark pool print, and it's rejecting the midline. We've now got another entry. And right underneath, we have another bearish net option flow candle. So this is a great place to maybe add to a position and take it down again. So you're getting multiple opportunities on Apple. So let's just review very quickly on the steps. And I used Apple in this example because it was very large, bearish engulfing at the open. You're going to get tighter action in many of the other names, and you want to look for these things, okay? We had very tight action in the pre-market. We had the signal, the market maker manipulation candle pointing down, telling us that it is bearish into the market open. That's how we should interpret it. The candle is visually significant. It's large in nature. We have no other conflicting candles. Okay? Matter of fact, we actually get additional candles here. In addition to that, we then take out the pre-market high, the trap, followed by the reversal down, and now we're looking for net option flow confirmation that calls are not being bought. We want calls to be sold, and a lot of the times you may actually see puts being bought. Okay? We'll see that in other examples. and then we get multiple opportunities to profit on this trade. It is really important that you pay yourself along the move. Don't always look for a home run, because what will happen is you can be 20, 30, 40% in profit, and then you can give back a significant chunk of that, especially if you're trading options, right? IV is going to expand, and that is going to either give you profit or take away your profit depending on the direction, okay? So let's go ahead and move on to the next name, and this is going to be Tesla on 7/16. So TSLA 7/16. Let's go to July 16th. Let me click through that again to make sure that it refreshes, and there we go. Now we've got Tesla showing up. We're on a 5-minute chart. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more because we do not need the post-market. We're not interested in that. So let's give ourselves a little more room. Now Tesla has a lot of range. It actually moves in a very large range. Its average true range is very large, relevant to other names. And I like that. I like stocks that have very large range. This is about as A+ as we can possibly get. So phenomenal example of the kind of setup you want, okay? Very tight pre-market action. You can see it's in a very tight range. We can draw a rectangle around this. Visually significant bearish manipulation candle. Okay, pointing down, telling us that our bias should be bearish going into the market open. So now we've got a name that we're keeping on a watch list, and we're preparing to possibly trade this going into the market open. Now you've done your research, and you've got something that you're going to then pay attention to when the market opens. You've identified options that in the option chain that you might want to target. Now they fluctuate quite a bit at the open, so in the pre-market they may move around a little bit, but you have to be prepared to see which ones are going to match your criteria, and we can have that conversation in the future. Let's take a look at the pre-market high, and I'm just hovering right over the top of this candle. You can see it. We spike right above it at the pre-market high. We're trapping. Not only that, not only do we spike above to trap, if you will, but look at the significant dark pool bubble that you see right here, this dark pool print. This is just exceptional. Now, my visual stop or my mental stop is right above the top of this candle. Price should not come back up here. If it does, we're wrong. Nothing works 100% of the time. We want to preserve our profit, okay? The very next candle, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more so we can see this because we want to pay attention to the net option flow. You can see that on this candle right here, calls are being sold. Now, I like to see this larger. I would have liked to see puts being bought as well, but this is okay. Calls are being sold. We've got the trap set up. We're A+, and you can see that this candle's not only significant, but now that I've zoomed in, you can't really see that first bubble, but a few minutes ago, you could see that there was a dark pool print there as well. And then what happens next? We just move straight down. In addition to that, I want you to look at smart money flow, which is this green line, and then momentum flow, which is this red line. They are both below the 0 line right here, as you can see, and they are both pointing down in the same direction. This gives you a significant move in Tesla that will generate significant profits. That is a word that I have to actually repeat here because it's true. We've got pre-market manipulation pointing down. We spike the high and actually trap traders. We've got bearish net option flow. And then we've got smart and momentum flow. Everything is set up perfectly. Where do you take profit? You have to identify what that means for yourself. Some people want to take profit at 20%, 30%. Some people like to see if they can get more out of it. I personally, what I typically would do in a day trade is I would get out on the break of the previous candle's high. So if you look, every one of these candles, the high of the previous candle is not being broken on any of these. We get to this candle, the high is taken out, you are out of it. What I'll typically do is when I see a large engulfing candle like this near a bottom, that looks like capitulation to me. So oftentimes I will get out even before the next candle to capture the bulk of this move. This obviously requires you to be very consistent and quick in your decision making. But if you want to follow a good rule of thumb, is any candle where the high is taken, that is a good place to actually close your position for a profit. Or if you see a large engulfing candle near the bottom of the move, that is typically capitulation, meaning all of the all of the buyers, if you will, that are trying to catch the bottom have given up and they're selling out. And when there are no more buyers left, or no more sellers left rather, the price starts to move in the opposite direction, okay? So we're at a good place here. Why don't we move on to the next name? Let's go ahead and do Monster, MSTR, or MicroStrategy rather, MSTR, on 7/23/2024. MSTR 7/23/2024. So first of all, let me just go ahead and hit enter. Let's move to the symbol first, and then let's move to July 23rd. Now, this is a long trade setup now. We've seen two short setups, and now we're looking at a long setup, okay? And just like I did in all the other names, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and get rid of any of the post-market information. So what do we see on the chart? Very tight action like we've been talking about. We see a visually significant manipulation candle, this yellow candle pointing up. Now our bias is bullish, okay? We want to see the pre-market low taken out. This is the market open. Now, I want to mention one thing real quick, and we haven't talked about this yet. If you get this signal, and you'll see this in the future, if you get this signal, and we know that we want price to go up in the open market, we expect it to ride the bottom Bollinger Band first. If you see a large move up near the open on something that is going up, you don't see it going down first, I'm not going to take that trade. I'm actually not going to take that symbol seriously, because what we want is we need to trap traders who are shorting this to go long, AKA a bear trap. So if it's moving up in the pre-market and it's really moving up, like you're seeing the bullish pre-market action, it really isn't going to look like it's setting up to trap traders short, only to take it long. So just be aware of that. But in this instance, it obviously does. It's not going up the pre-market highs. We're not seeing a bunch of bullish action in the pre-market. So far, this looks like an A+ setup. The next thing is we want to see the pre-market low taken out. What happens? Right here at the open, the pre-market low is taken out. Now let me zoom in a little bit more, because just because the pre-market low is taken out does not mean we have a trade, okay? We're looking down here, and so far we do not see anything bullish, okay? Nothing bullish here. And then all of a sudden you see this large candle right here, and this is, you can see how significant the tail is here, meaning this is getting bought right here. And so what do we want to see? We are still waiting for net options flow to confirm a bullish signal. We do not see it on any of these candles until we get here. Not only is net option flow actually giving us a signal and letting us know that it looks like we've hit a bottom and things are about to reverse, calls are being bought at a pretty large rate. You can see it here just based on the visually significant size of this net option flow candle, okay? And this is call flow being bought. Very next candle we're in. Now, if you notice, we stop selling down here on Momo flow and on smart flow and start to point back up. This is outstanding. As a matter of fact, this engulfing candle, obviously smart flow breaks the zero line. But this is enough for me. My mental stop is right below these lows right here. We're in on the next candle, take it up, and then you can see this rejection candle right here. The reason this is important when you're paying yourself is you can see that this is a large tail bar, meaning there's a lot of selling going into the strength. So you want to be very careful when you see stuff like this. This is a very large move from this candle all the way here. It's a pretty significant move in terms of the profit you can make, and this is where I would have gotten out. Okay, let's move on to the next name. We've got SBUX on 7/24/2024. So SBUX, and then let's move to 7/24/2024, just a few days ago. Let's get rid of all the post-market action. There we go. And look at how tight this pre-market action is. Everything that we've been talking about. In addition to that, a visually significant bearish manipulation candle in the pre-market pointing down, telling us that the bias is bearish. We get to the market open, we spike this candle high, which was the high of the pre-market, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can just see this a little bit better, okay? Right here was the high, and you can see that we wicked above and then we slammed down. Now, let me zoom in a little bit more. The reason I want to use this example is the very first candle that gives us that confirmation is the market open candle right here, okay? We don't see many others until we get right about here. But what you can see next is price continues to just move down for the rest of the day. So this is where a little bit of discretion comes into play, because NOF was showing us that the market open. That might have been a little too early for me. I'm comfortable taking this because the high was spiked here. So I'm entering on this candle. My mental stop is right above this high. And you can see that we just continue to ride this down. We're not taking out any of the previous candle highs until we get here. So you're getting a move from about here till about here, okay, when this candle spikes above. Of course, it continues down much further, and then it just becomes sort of lethargic and just drifts off into space for the rest of the day. Now, SBUX is one of those names that doesn't move a lot. It doesn't really have a lot of range. If you look at its ATR is actually pretty small in comparison to something like a Tesla. But this is a pretty significant move when you're looking at a name like SBUX. And I wanted to show this example because we're always wanting to confirm the net option flow is telling us that it's going lower. And in this instance, the candle was actually pretty small. So this is one of those things where you might have to exercise some discretion and decide if you want to be in this name or you want to look for more active names, okay? And so far you've seen 3 names that matched all the criteria. We have Apple, Tesla, and MicroStrategy. And then SBUX, obviously we didn't get that significant NOF candle that we really want to see, so there might be some discretion associated with this one, okay? Now we're going to move on to the very last one, which was AMD, and that was today. We had all of the pre-market setup that we were looking for, but we never got a NOF confirmation, net option flow confirmation. And in the room, I was telling lots of traders to be very careful. Even though it looked like it was going to move away and actually get very bullish, there was no confirmation net option flow. And had you taken it, you might most likely would have gotten hurt because you weren't waiting for all the signals to line up, okay? Let's go ahead and go to AMD and let's look at today. And so the action is going to be a little bit ugly. You can see that it's very wide and loose here, but let's just walk through the pre-market. Pre-market is pretty wide, okay? We've got a big move up, and if I was to draw a rectangle around this, it's not as tight as I would like to see, okay? And then going into here, we can see that it is very bullish, okay? So this is pointing to a bullish bias. Now, one additional thing to mention, we had a lot of economic news today. We have to be very careful on significant news events. And today was the PCE and consumer sentiment. Those were 2 big economic data points that came in today. So we always want to be careful going into economic events. Always be aware of the news that is coming out on that day that can have a dramatic impact, because that information does get priced in to the market once it's been released. So just be aware of that. But I want to use this example as a trade that you cannot take. Even though it looks like it's bullish, we do not get a signal within the first hour to 2 hours of the market, okay? And we can see that this is telling us it's bullish. The price action's a little wide. So we want to see the pre-market low get taken out, which was right here. Pre-market low gets taken out. Now we're looking down to see if net option flow is confirming. None of the Momo and Smart flow is just sort of drifting sideways. And you can see that it's failing to even try to get above the Bollinger Band midline. And if we look down here, these are not significant candles. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more, but the net option flow here, these are small. This is calls being bought and puts being sold, so that is technically bullish, but it's very small in nature. And that to me does not show force or a significant level of money coming into the market to push this name up, okay? And obviously we get a big move up, then we get an immediate engulfing rejection bar back down. And this is why we wait. We have to be very careful. We move on to the next bar, and you can see that this is bearish. These are puts being bought right here. There are some calls being bought, but it is very small in relation to the puts being bought, okay? And what do? We get up to the Bollinger Band midline, and then it just completely rejects and goes even lower. This is why we wait. And then the entire morning goes by, and there's just no trade. Now, we did start moving later in the day. There's really not significant net options flow, but at this point for me, there is no trade here. This is just the strength of that move took place, and then anybody who wanted to try to catch a bottom or catch a falling knife, they're going to be buying it, and they push it up. You see this kind of going sideways, and then all of a sudden we get a big engulfing candle here. Okay, now this technically should be bullish here, but again, we're not seeing call buying. This is just put selling, not call buying. And we really would like to see both of them stacked properly. And as you can tell, there's more selling. And really the bottom line with this example is there's just no trade. It can be a little exciting when you start to see this, and in the moment when you're trading, you see a candle like this and you want to get in. There's a part of your human emotion that tells you that this is about to run much, much higher. The analytical side of you, which is the decision-making side that needs to really focus, the voice in your head that you need to be listening to, is the one that's telling you that all the signals are not lined up. So there is no trade here. Do not let the fear of missing out force you to chase this only to get hurt. We walk through a number of excellent examples that are A+ setups, and there are many more. I just want to make this video somewhat short, but I also wanted to show you a few examples where you need to be very careful and make sure that everything is lined up before you take that trade. Otherwise, you could get hurt, you can obviously lose, and then you may, in addition to that, actually not have confidence in the strategy, but the entire time, the strategy was telling you that not all the rules were actually met. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it is clear and concise with the examples that I shared with you. What I would ask you to do to really get very good at this setup is to do your own work and actually go pick a number of additional names. Now, in the private community, I've posted a number of rules around selection of names related to the strategy. I specifically only look for large and mega cap stocks. I want a lot of liquidity in the name. I want something that trades in the tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars or more. There needs to be large institutional participation in these, okay? I don't want to trade low float stocks as an example, which can be whipped in either direction, especially short squeeze related. This is all about large and mega cap stocks and very specific names within that. That gives you the largest opportunity for success and consistent performance in your day-to-day day trading. So I hope with just the examples that I've showed you, you can see how dramatic an edge there is with this tool. There are no lagging indicators here. This is nothing like any flow tool you have ever seen before, because the way that Tay succeeded was by leveraging the technology that's actually built in. There are multiple ways to use it. We're highlighting one very powerful strategy that sets up in the pre-market. And I would like you to do your homework on a number of your favorite names, large and mega cap stocks, and you will see very quickly the opportunity that's available within this tool. Thank you, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.